Why, hello, Tube. Today we have The Wendigo by Algernon Blackwood. I've been reading these in this awesome Oxford World Classics edition, where if you use my affiliate link down below to go get this or any other book, you get an awesome book. I get a little commission. It's a win-win. Go check out bookshop.org. They're awesome. However, public domain. You don't have to go buying this book if you want to read The Wendigo. I'll put a link to the short story down below. Hopefully, I can find it. I should have actually looked before I started this because there was one that I couldn't find the link to. Oh well, but it's in a whole bunch of different volumes, including this cool picture one that I found. Algernon Blackwood, born March 14th, 1869 in Cheeters Hill, Kent, England, died December 10th, 1951 at the age of 82 in London, England. Typically, I like to say a little something interesting about the author. However, since this is like video 12 or something, I kind of ran out of stuff. But just know that his probably three best known works is The Centaur, which we won't be reading this month. I won't be reading this month. It's not in this collection. The Willows, which I have read. There's a video for it. And The Wendigo. That's kind of his big three. I stole this synopsis from Barnes & Noble. Just kind of think they did the best job. Also, I'm not going to pronounce this guy's name right. This one guy. I have no idea how to pronounce it. It has a little... And I don't know. We're just going to go with it. So I don't need you down in the comment section telling me how to pronounce the guy's name. I don't really care. Just putting it out there. Algernon Blackwood's novella The Wendigo was initially released in The Lost Valley and Other Stories. Simpson, a divinity student, and his uncle Dr. Cathcart, an author of a book on collective hallucination, are two Scotsmen on a moose hunting trip with guides Hank Davis and nature-loving French Canuck Joseph Defago. That's the I don't know. Defago? Something like that. In the forest, we'll just call him JD. In the forest north of Rat Portage in northwestern Ontario, Simpson eventually succeeds in returning to the main camp where he meets up with the others. Dr. Cathcart and Hank follow him back to continue the search for JD, and as they set up camp once more in the bush, JD, or some repulsive impersonation of JD, appears before them before slipping away into the darkness once more. They return to the main camp feeling conflicted and frightened by what they have seen, only to discover that JD, the actual JD, this time has made his own way there while experiencing delirium, exposure, and frostbite. He passes away shortly after, leaving the three guys perplexed and unsure of what happened. Punk could have been the one to explain it to them. I don't know who Punk... I don't remember a Punk. But as soon as he smelled the awful odor JD was carrying, he ran away to his house. So yeah, there you go. Looking for a synopsis for this story was kind of difficult because some of them were very, very vague and some just didn't seem right altogether, at least from what I read or what I remember reading. I don't know. So that's Barnes and Noble one's the one I went with. I like picking one from somebody else writing us out. I don't spoil anything. I'll spoil something probably, and I don't mean for this to be a spoiler video. As for my thoughts on the Wendigo, it was okay. I still think that when it comes to Algernon Blackwood, I think his sweet spot for stories is right around that 10-page mark. I really do. I know that sounds kind of silly because you think that with more pages to work with, that you can get like, he can develop the story more. But I feel like he doesn't really develop the story a whole lot more. He just kind of adds a lot of fluff to them when they start to get longer. Not saying this was a bad story. I enjoyed the story. I'd read it again sometime. However, some of these shorter ones that are in this collection have just been absolute bangers, whereas it just kind of feels like the longer ones a lot of times just kind of drag on a little bit, to be honest. But other than that, I don't know what else to really say about the story. Um, I do remember there was maybe back in the early 2000s there was a Wendigo, like a B horror movie that was actually pretty fun to watch. That's how I've heard of the Wendigo. No idea if it's been so long since I've seen it. I don't think it was like based on the short story. I think it was somebody else's kind of creation sort of a thing. But I know the Wendigo as like a humanoid with like a well, yeah, pretty much kind of like this picture. Kind of like the picture, or that picture over there. But kind of like humanoid on 2 feet and hoofed feet and things like that. Kind of creepy. I wouldn't want to run into it in the woods. That's for dang sure. Um, but overall, it's worth reading. It's definitely worth reading, especially if you're wanting to get into gothic horror. It might be good. To me, it never really got even remotely creepy. I don't know. I, I know. I realize that these stories are really old and they're not like what we're used to today. But even some of the other stories, kind of built up. Like the very first story in this built up, and there was, I wouldn't say it was scary, but I would say that it was definitely creepy. Whereas this one just didn't feel that way for me. However, it's still a good story. Algernon Blackwood's an absolute awesome writer. He's very good at what he does. But I just feel like I think the money's in this short stories. I really do. I think I mentioned it before that he has almost a Borges quality to the really really short stories that just is just masterful. Whereas some of the longer stories, I will say the Wendigo doesn't really feel pretentious as some of the other longer ones start to kind of feel. Like the Willow starts to kind of feel a little bit, he's getting a little full of himself. This one doesn't really ever feel like that, but I think it could have been half as long and still been really good. So I don't know. I don't know. This video might suck. I don't know, but that's how I feel, and I don't know really what else to say about it. So, that's it for this one, peeps. The question today: uh, would you follow a friend into the dark if they claimed they heard something calling? Would you? I spent a lot of time in the woods when I was younger. My grandparents owned uh, basically 15 acres of forest next to a a state forest next to the Mississippi River. So I spent a lot of time playing in the woods as a kid. As a kid, I'd probably been like, hell yeah, let's go kick the Wendigo and the ding ding. As an adult, I'd probably be like, no, I'm good. I'm just gonna go ahead and leave now. So, uh, that's it for this one, peeps. Cheers.